what happened in Saudi Arabia with this? There's like a hard right turn after Skittles vodka. What happened here?
So the Saudi Arabia deal goes down, right? We all find out like, okay, we're not.
This is like the first time going over Saudi
Arabia? This is the very first show. So obviously you hear about it and everyone, oh, these are multi-million-dollar deals. These are big shows. Like big shows. So I'm sitting and on the TR app, I'm booked for it. So, oh, cool. At that time, everyone's kind of psyched. Like, we don't really know, like, oh, shit, we're going to Saudi Arabia to wrestle. Cool. And at that time, 205 guys weren't doing a lot of international shit. So a handful of us were booked on it. All right, cool. We're doing some international stuff, a country we've never been to. It's going to be crazy. I'm sitting in catering, and one of the props guy comes up to me. He goes, hey, we're bringing an Iranian flag to Saudi Arabia. I'm like, oh, like, for me, probably, right? And they're like, yeah. They're like, but it's really weird. Like, it's really hard getting it there. It has to go on Vince's like private jet to get it there.
What?
And I'm like,
that and Undertaker's hat.
Yeah. So I was like, uh-oh. I was like, this seems kind of weird. So I start like Googling about it, because right away I'm like, okay, great. So I Google about it. Okay, oh, there's mad heat between like Iran and Saudi Arabia. And I kind of apologize for not being like politically in on that kind of stuff, but I feel like a lot of people in America don't know the geopolitics of other places, And
I walked into that blindly.
Yeah, and like my parents never really smartened me up about it. And obviously when everything went down, they're like, oh yeah, you didn't know? I was like, no, I didn't know.
Thanks.
Mom, so I went and talked so the props guy told me, he's like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal getting it there. And so I'm like, this sounds kind of like unsafe. So I went and talked to Vince.
As if going over there's not.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like you're on edge a little bit.
Well, already. So mind you, I mean, did you ever end up going? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we had to like sign these papers and stuff like that had like the rules of like Saudi Arabia and like.
Sign one of those. We were getting a call though about like what I had to wear, and that
was
very strict.
So just the fact that we had to sign these things, and TR had to tell us, all these like strict rules,
like no tattoos,
all this kind of stuff, and we all know
right?
certain things are like punishable by death, and like so everyone's kind of like, oh, holy crap. So I'm talking to Vince about it, and he said,
what else was on that? No alcohol, no tobacco,
no alcohol, right? No porn,
no porn,
no porn,
clear your phone,
no porn on your phone and stuff like that. So we were doing this segment where like you were going to come out as like an Iranian, you're going to do something with the Saudi trainees, which is like Mansoor. He was the only one who was like,
sweet man.
Yeah. Mansoor. Very nice guy. He was the only one who was like an American Saudi Arabian, kind of like how I'm an Iranian American.
Yeah.
And the rest were actually like Saudi guys. So I talked to Vince and I said, hey, do you think this is kind of like too touchy of a thing to do? Cause I said, we obviously don't like do that shit anymore. Like, we're not doing that here in America. And he said, no, like, it'll be fine. Like, this is requested to be part of the show and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, whatever. And this is one thing that people may not understand. Like, I was only 2 years into the company. Like I said, these deals are really big deals. I'm just a cruiserweight trying to make it up. I'm not going in there and saying no to shit.
Sure.
In hindsight, I should have, but, and I did afterwards when I said, we're never doing that again.
Yeah.
So I just kind of said, okay, like, I guess I'm kind of doing what I'm told. And so like a week before, I started having like neck issues a little bit. And like, I started getting like pain down my arm. That's getting kind of serious. And like the week before we're going to go, I'm wrestling Ali on 205 Live. And I gave him a backstabber in the match. And as soon as I hit the mat, I just get like lightning bolts down my arm. And like, just from being a wrestler, I know like what are common wrestler injuries.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh shit, this ain't good. So I went and told the doctor, and all I kept thinking is when he said like, hey, okay, we have to like pull you off and put you on MRI and shit like that. I said, Vince is going to think that I'm like milking an injury or faking an injury to like get out of this shit. But luckily we had the MRI to prove like, no, he has like a herniation in his neck and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was like, I guess that segment's canceled. They called me and they said, hey, can we get your brother's information? And I go, what do you need my brother's information? Like, we're going to send him to Saudi Arabia instead. So again, me trying to be like a good soldier, I said, hey, you know what? Like, I understand, like, if this is not a match, it's just a segment, like, I can still go, I'm in horrible pain this whole time. Mm-hmm. So they go, you know what? We'll have you and your brother.
Let's get on a really long flight. That'll make it feel better.
They go, why don't we have you and your brother go together? Okay, cool. We got to do something together. Again, not knowing what this is going to turn into. I'm just kind of thinking like, I got to do something with my brother in WWE.
It all feels like very kind of exciting things. Like new opportunities and it's just different stuff that we don't ever get to do when we're here.
Exactly.
Don't really see much beyond those things.
And just the opportunity that hey man, if this goes well, maybe they'll hire Sean back and we can be a tag team in WWE or something like that. That was always a dream of ours. So I know I can still go, again, trying to be a good soldier and all that kind of stuff. No, I can still go. And again, 15-hour plane ride and fucking miserable. My neck is killing me. I have no strength in my tricep, any of that kind of stuff. So we get there, we do the deal. I'm in gorilla trying to like pump up. I can't do a push-up because my neck is so up. And I wasn't supposed to take any sort of, I was on a complete like no contact list, and my brother was just going to get bumped around. And then again, being the good soldier, I said, it's kind of weird that I just like stand there and watch my brother get his ass kicked. Right. Yeah. I said, how about the guy like pushes me on my ass? And they basically told me like, we'll allow that if you're like telling us right now that you're okay with it. And if you get hurt, like, you're not gonna, like, we're telling you like, you shouldn't do this. I said, no, I'm tough. I can do it.
Yeah.
So that's why in the segment I get like pushed on my ass and just roll out. My brother takes all the bumps, and that was it. So we do the deal. I remember as we were walking back up the ramp, I'm still in full like character mode. My brother was smart enough to like grab me. He goes, hey man, like we did it. Like we did something together. Like soak this in. And I was like, oh shit, cool. We go do the deal and it's all cool. And then when I get back home, that's when I start getting all the DMs from like people in Iran or people in Saudi Arabia, and like BBC Persia picked up on it, and it just turned into like a whole like look at this bullshit WWE did, going into another country and just kind of making light of, turning a wrestling angle into something that's very serious. And that's when I like got very educated on it. And I said, damn, this was up. Like we shouldn't have been doing this. Like we were smart enough to not do this in America, but we go to another country and do that. So I told the office, hey, I'm going to put out like an apology because, or just, hey, if this offended people, like, I'm sorry. I should have studied up on it more. Like we shouldn't have done this. And they said, go ahead, put out the apology, but just know, like, we're not going to retweet it. We're not going to apologize. This is just strictly on you if that's something you want to do. And I said, yeah, I want to do it. I said, I'm not like a shitty guy. Like I don't want to offend people. I don't want this to be bad. I want this to be it's
like entertainment blends with like real life stuff.
Touchy. Wrestling's so weird about that, because if people saw that on like a movie screen or on a TV show, it wouldn't matter. But because wrestling is just like pseudo, like, is it real? It's kind of weird. So people were very offended by it. So, and one thing that really bothered me is that people in Iran were upset about it. How could you do this? How could you, make us look like that and that kind of stuff? And I didn't know it was going to have that kind of thing. So that was really why I put out the apology. I said, oh man, I don't want people, because I still to this day have tons of wrestling fans in Iran, because there's just, you don't see that very often. You don't see Iranian American in WWE, stuff like that. So anyone who's a wrestling fan out there, they were super excited to see like a fellow Persian man in WWE and stuff like that. So a lot of them were very offended. And I said, no, I'm not trying to alienate any sort of a fan base by doing stupid shit like that. So it became kind of a big deal, got a handful of death threats and stuff like that. So right. So it got a little serious. I remember, I think Jim Cornette like kind of commented on it a little bit, being like, we used to get heat and death threats back in the day all the time. I go, okay, this ain't 1970s Memphis anymore, like, or wherever we wrestle. The world has changed. Yeah, I'm not trying to like do that kind of shit, or try like WWE doesn't do that kind of shit. We're not trying to get death threats and stuff like that. That's not cool. Like, because I said, if anything, like, this is just gonna turn people off, and there were plenty of people in America who were just like that was
more fans.
They're like that was a up segment, people who were, aware of what's going on over there. So I said, you're really just alienating people by doing like up shit like this. So, and unfortunately, like, the fans aren't still too crazy about the Saudi show and stuff like that. So I told them, I said, hey, going forward, like, that wasn't a good look. I said, I don't want to be a part of these shows anymore. I'll just kind of stay. And that's not just me. There was a handful of wrestlers who said,
you never went back to Saudi Arabia after that?
No, like, actually, the next two shows, it popped up on my app, and I had to like text Karana and be like, hey, you remember you said we're not going anymore? Oh, sorry, it was just a mistake. We just need, because that's when they did like the world's greatest battle royal or some shit like that. So they just needed.
So Neil stole the show.
So they needed a lot of bodies and stuff like that. So that was why like 205 guys were getting booked. But every time they said, "Oh, sorry," and just took it off. And that was
that's good.
Yeah. So that was kind of, they were cool about that. They said like, I just don't feel comfortable going back. It's just not a good look. And also, like, I kind of didn't trust them a little bit. I didn't want them to like, well, you're here, like, hey, guess what? Tonight you're going to wrestle Mansoor. And like, that's going to be like the next step of it. So I just didn't want to get there. And they said like, we're going to go back to it now or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah. Just take yourself out of the equation.
I said, let's just back out of this situation. And luckily enough, I don't think I ever got any heat for it. They were always very cool about it. Cause I kind of asked around, I said, are they like mad at me now that I don't want to go back? Because I know by like the second or third one, like a lot of people started saying they didn't want to go. And I think it got to a point where like, I know some of you guys are going, whether you like it or not, you know? So it started again. So I always got worried. I said, are they going to say like, no, you know what? Everyone's going now. And then obviously the last time they went, there was that kind of issue where the plane got held up and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just kind of one of those things. I said, honestly, I just don't feel comfortable being a part of this anymore.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I went over there twice. And I mean, I actually had a great time both times.
My time, other than like the backlash of that segment, the time there was great. You know, it was cool to see another country, somewhere I've never been. You know, they did treat us very well. We're nice hotel, all that kind of stuff. You know, so
great spread of food.
Great spread of food. You know,
God.
So that stuff was all great. It was just that one segment that we did on the show just kind of really tainted the whole experience for me, and you know, and for a lot of people, obviously. So that was why I just said, you know, I'm just going to kind of remove myself from that situation.
Yeah.